Today we're in Windsor, Connecticut on our way to the Antique Radio Museum.
Is he?
This is a very cool museum. There's much to see here.
You might put that radio on your kitchen counter. We can send counter space, safer,
And Thomas Edison research. It's an Edison.
That's all I had.
So the question is, in 19...
I built an antenna like this in the yard out of PVC a couple of years ago. Set up something like this for the Outwater Kent. It worked. Believe it or not, it worked quite well. Ugly as sin, mind you. But it did the job.
Crank it up, and it would have a spring that can wind the watch.
I guess we'll start at the 1800s where it started. Some early telegraphy. I can't really hear any distinguishing feature in telegraphy, like dots and dashes. Like it's just holding or it's not holding. It never really did it for me, but there are people who can actually do that. I cannot do it. My mother was in high school in the 1800s. These were the computers that were found on the desks. Very familiar with these models. Oh, this is cool. Look at this word processor of the day. And typeset.
This is an Edison home phonograph, which sold for about $35 in that era. So multiply that times about 25, and that's today's value.
Well, an average guy wasn't making $35 a week, right?
Right.
So that's probably 15 years old. It's huge,
Electricity required.
Even when they recorded it.
Even when they recorded it. How do they get the music into it?
That's what I'm going to tell you.
May I stop it now? Okay.
Made it to the 1920s. Oh, look at this, Stromberg Carlson. What's not to like? Oh, look, we're on video. Wait, fill up.
Research. It's an Edison.
Look at that.
And Thomas Edison. Research. It's an Edison.
That's all I had.
How do you like that? Jesus Christ.
Research. It's an Edison.
That's all I had.
The stations back then.
Research. It's an Edison.
That's all I had.
Back when it was classy. Yep. Early crystal set. You can see the crystal in there, the crystal diode. Wasn't regenerative, right? Need a long antenna and really good ears. Oh, look at that, yeah. There's like a Tesla coil. I'm not sure, man. Look at this, they got a operational spark gap transmitter here. I don't know what it's connected to make it work. I know what's going on. I don't know what the internals are, but it looks, take a look. Hold that, Ma. There you go. Outstanding.
So it was very common in the old days for Junior to take out a spark coil out of his dad's Model T. Mind you, there were 4 of them, one for every cylinder.
Yes.
So Junior would take out a spark box and then use it for his little ham radio transmitter to talk to his friend across town. And his dad would then start up the car, which ran only on 3 cylinders. He'd drive it all the way to the garage because his car wasn't running right, and the mechanic would say to the owner of that Model T, "Sir, I bet you your son's one of those ham radio operators." And how do you know that? Well, one of your spark coils are missing. Junior got the wrath of Dad when he got home.
And this is
Happened many times.
this looks like a
That's an amateur radio transmitter. It's a rotary spark gap, circa 1915.
yeah, I'm losing my words today. This one operational or?
I wouldn't want to fire it up. You're turning on and off the house, the AC voltage coming out of the wall, and you're stepping up the voltage from 110 volts here
Yes.
to 7,000 volts here.
Yes.
And this thing spins around and arcs across these posts, makes the spark. Mm-hmm. It then goes through a tuned circuit,
Yes.
which concentrates the spark energy, the radio electromagnetic waves, into a band of frequencies. Just above 1.5 megahertz. Mm-hmm. The antenna coupling is achieved by raising this coil up and down.
Yes.
When you have maximum coupling to the antenna, this neon bulb will light.
Also, it's a lot more sophisticated than more early guttural spark gaps. Just dump.
Dump the energy right into the a piece of wire.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is a much more later,
Sure.
sophisticated version
Yep.
of a spark gap.
Exactly. A design like this was used up until the early to mid 1920s.
This would still be highly frowned upon for use.
Today,
Yeah, today.
you couldn't really do it.
No, because it would just splatter everywhere.
Yeah.
Along the band.
That's correct. Are you a ham radio operator?
Yes, I am.
Very good. Me too. I'm WB1GCM.
KJ4 TLB,
Very good. Where are you from, folks?
Claremont, Florida.
Really? Well, thanks for coming up and visiting us.
Here's a Atwater Kent that's older than the one I have. This predates the Model 20. This is the old, like an old breadboard one. What model is this? I can't remember. That model number on it? I know, everybody could be screaming at me on the video. How do you not know the model number? This is older than the one I have. It's older than the Model 20. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, it's pretty cool because these are hard to find.
Yes, can you send electricity through space? Yes, you can. But the farther away you go, the dimmer it gets. So Tesla's idea is to have one of these sparking things every mile or so, every couple of blocks. All right. Doesn't hurt. High voltage, low current. Now, if you could build one for space, the electricity shoots up at the speed of light. But the problem is it takes a long time to get up there because the mass of an electron is very, very small. That'll keep going until it falls off, folks.
This particular unit is in need of new electrolytic capacitors. Definite recap job is required. This is not one of my restoration videos. We're at the museum. Let's have some fun. What are we doing? Not my workbench. What is this? 1930s. Let's take a look. Everything's getting sophisticated now. Should I feel old that we use these patch panels in the Navy? We had all this. Yeah, I don't know why this is called. This should be called like 1930s through like the last 20 years. For all you order wire aficionados. I think this is just okay. For those watching, I think this is just a separate telephone equipment section here. This is not of a particular date, which would explain why this is a little bit more modern. But a lot of this stuff looks really familiar to me.
Models.
Which one?
That one looks similar, but it had the tunes on the needles on the bottom and the things across the top. Mm-hmm. And it had like lines in it, like sort of these are horizontal.
Yeah.
They had vertical lines going, so that kind of different kinds
Do
of
you
radios.
remember what company
I
it
think
was?
it might have been Philco. It was Philco.
Philco.
Yes, it was Philco.
We could probably go through some Philco radios online and see what model it was. Yeah, it's just a ton of radios they have. And these are the radios that they have out. You know, they probably have
Sure, in storage they have others.
in storage just have a ton, right? By the 30s,
that
these
radio.
speakers started to disappear.
I
Then.
would listen to Amos and Andy every night on that radio.
They have an assortment of jukeboxes too. Well, these aren't really my thing. I could appreciate them from a technical standpoint over the years. I don't really work on them though. I'd like to. I wouldn't mind if a jukebox landing in my lap for repair purposes, but they do have several of them. So very cool. Some of them are. I really couldn't tell you the vintage. I'm not a jukebox person. This one was particularly older, right? I guess it says 1940 model 700. I could venture to guess it's probably from around 1940, right? This looks like something from the 50s. And this to me, I don't know, I'm thinking like, you know, LEDs, probably not too old. And here we are in the 1940s. Welcome. Switchboard operator stuff. By the Bell System, doing great things. And this is the, oh no, remember that? Where you could dial up and hear what time it was?
Especially during daily discount periods. The time is 12:55. Addresses and phone numbers of SNET offices are on page 4 of your phone book.
Whatever it was called.
The time
Yes,
is
more telephone. There's the other side of the telephone rack, right? Again, not 1940s, but all step-by-step stuff. I wonder if it'll engage. Let's see. It did. Let's see. You ready? Yep. The last one.
The time is 12.
No, hang it up. Two beans. Step by step. I haven't seen one of these in like, I know we had them on base. We had like rows and rows of these at MWR, but yeah, that's probably the last time I've seen this. No, they had in Guantanamo. They had a whole room full of these, but yeah, telephone booth. So in the museum, in the museum, and there's a teletype. There's only one model teletype that's near and dear to me, and this isn't it. But this is a teletype anyway, just for your inspection. It's amazing how they did that back then. I wish this one was operational to see it operate. Look at those early circuit boards. There's like phenolic material. Look at the transistors, how they're mounted on those. Look at the size of those transistors. Look at them. You see the transistors? The size of shirt buttons. You know? You figure you could fit... And I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... There's like 8 pins. So it's a good chance that those transistors, there's probably more than one junction or transistor on that package, right? But still, look at the size of that. You fit like millions upon millions upon millions on an IC, right? Good times. And there's, look at these. That's a transistor, a single transistor right there.
I had a transistor radio when I was young. I got it when I was about 16.
Yeah.
Eons ago.
Yeah.
I loved it. I used to listen to Gene Shepard every night and listen to the news and things while I was reading my schoolwork or whatever, and I loved my transistor radio.
These right here, these transistor radios are an absolute monster to restore, because when you open them up to get inside to the little tiny components on these with the circuit boards that are so fragile and fall apart to rip components out, you restore them just like a modern transistor radio. There's no room to work. It's absolutely terrible. This right here, you know what that is?
No.
It's a wire recorder before tape, right? Like between record and tape. Well, record you can never record on, right?
Right.
But before tape is a medium, you use wire that, you know, like, it look like you could see it. You could see like metal wire. You can magnetize metal wire on a reading head, roll it up, and actually record on it. And it actually works really nicely, except if it broke, right? So there's no way to edit and splice. It doesn't have any of that capability.
Yeah.
Short of that, though, it worked really well and had a reasonable fidelity because of the fact that it was so dense. I mean, you could drive it, right? So it sounded a lot better than tape would have comparatively for a long time.
How thin was the wire?
Very thin. You can see right here. Look, it's like it's hair thin,
So it was fragile.
which was its undoing. Yeah.
Oh, look, I didn't. You know what? Now the light's shining on it. I can actually see it.
You see
Okay,
that?
It is very thin. Yeah.
But as far as fidelity goes, it was a major step up. It really did have a good sound to it. But it wasn't used for really so much for music and stuff. It was used for notation. You see, it affixed to it like a speaker. The person could push a button on here, and as they would push the button, it would just start recording.
Like a dictaphone.
Like a dictaphone, yeah, very very much so, like a dictaphone. This stuff right here is the bee's knees to work on, right? Old military gear. There's not really like a big market for it, especially radio stuff, unless it's fixed frequency, and like some people work on that stuff or have a need for it for particular bands. But absolute dream mil spec to work on. Again, very small market, but very well documented, extremely predictable. I wish there was like a market for this type of restoration, because this is really fun to do, is analog television. Number one, there's really nothing with regard to not right now, the people don't want analog televisions because you can't use them. The bandwidth is gone, so you can't receive anything. The stuff that they're receiving right now, they're probably transmitting on a small transmitter, and that's how you're able to see it. But that spectrum has been taken away for like cell phone use, so nobody transmits on analog, so none of these things can do anything anymore, you know? It's a shame, but you know, it's progress. You know, it is what it is.
I remember when you got your Sony Watchman, didn't you?
No, that was Joe. Joe got the Sony
Watchman.
That one down there. My brother got that one, the long one, gray one, and then we got something like that. That flip up one, we got that one as well. Had those back in the day.
89.
You can't use anything like that anymore because the spectrum that they receive on no longer exists. So you need your own transmitter to transmit modern shows, whatever you want to transmit. You have to transmit directly to television now. Look at this. If you're a real sadist, this Holocrafters too, right? So I have a Holocrafters at home. It's radio. This is like mighty inappropriate for television. Can you imagine like everybody gathered around? You know, you hold up like a coin next to the screen to see how unbearably small this is.
I had a TV that was only a 13-inch screen.
I get that, but look at it today. It's like look at the size of my iPhone screen, Ma.
Exactly, but we survived. We didn't.
Can you imagine everybody gathered around the iPhone watching television?
We watched the World Series on a 13-inch screen.
Oh, that's when the New York Giants beat the Chicago White Sox for the 23 pennant, right?
Yeah, was that 1823 or 1923?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure stuff like this was really popular back then. Consider the following, right? So you put this big magnifying glass over the television. You end up with like an 18-inch television, but everybody's all bowed out and what have you. I imagine the curvature allowed for the curvature of the glass, right? But okay, here it is. So, yeah, but look how small that is. It's like.
If you're hit by a car, you can lay
If you don't know there's anything better to do with what.
Yeah, I know. That was like the biggest TV back then. It was like, look, he's got a big screen. You know. Feelings about this section because I get a little bit snobby here, though. You know, kudos to the like the Heathkit amplifier, but there's definitely no Dynaco representation here. I guess the Heathkit makes it a wash. But wait, they have Macintosh. Okay, I take it back. This was the bee's knees back in the day, right here. If you had a Macintosh amplifier, you were doing well. Actually, this all looks pretty good. I'm gonna shut up now. They got an Empire turntable. They have Heathkit amplifiers. They have Macintosh amplifier, and I'm running my mouth looking foolish. Reel to reel. These I was never a fan of. Right? I don't think anybody was. I'm sure I could be forgiven for saying that much. But yeah, okay, that's actually pretty cool. I like that setup. On the other side, oh, look at that. I have that Fisher down there. See that Fisher receiver? I got that. We've got some Marantz, and that's very high-end Pioneer reel-to-reel. And H.H. Scott, and never got into the blackface stereo equipment of the late 80s, early 90s. Just if it wasn't Silverface. Yeah, not bad. Yeah. Wow, take a look. What do we got? What did I say?
Dynakit.
What did I say? And there it is. It's like no museum is complete. No museum is complete without the ST70, right? And to complement it, look at the preamp that they got right there on top of it. It's got to be a PAS3 sitting right on top of it. Because obviously it's an amplifier, so it's not going to function without a preamp. Yeah, so it's a PAS preamplifier. So this is the same setup I have at home. and it's sitting here in a museum. So I guess I must be doing the right thing. They're pairing them well. My mother's favorite typewriters in the museum.
IBM Selectric too.
Look at that, huh?
Oh, my favorite.
Did it take you back?
I had two of them.
Yeah,
Black
two-
one like this
black
and a beige
and the
one.
beige one.
Yeah.
And as long as one was working.
I used to have the parts, and the repairman would come, and he'd leave a bunch of parts, and when it went boom, I would fix it myself.
Sounded like a warmed up Ford 302 when it was running.
They did have a cover for the printer that went with it. It was very, very loud.
Boom, 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 boom. I remember
Dot
that.
matrix.
No, this?
No, the printer that went with it was a dot matrix printer initially. Then I upped to a
I don't recollect.
different printer.
Old Xerox Copier. Look at that. It is a facsimile right here.
Ah,
Telefax
yes,
with
yes,
an acoustic coupler modem,
yes.
right? Which you find in my videos, an acoustic coupler modem, right? I have one of those. Looks like a telephone answering machine. This escapes me. It's Radio Shack, but I don't know what it is. It looks like a CB radio. Is that a CB radio right there? I see HF gain, tuning, squelch, RF gain. Yeah, it's probably Citizen Band. And this beast right here, this big Motorola in the back. I don't know if that could be like 2 meter VHF transmitter or something like that. I'm not sure. So nobody yell at me. I don't know. Welcome to the 60s, people. CW and FSK operations. Navy radio set, all in one package. Looks like stuff on the back shelf. Looks like it's just not ready for display yet. But wow, look at that. Transmitter was handcrafted, donated in 2008. It's like a full-featured transmitter. We'll get to that, Ma. Just 1 second. We're getting there. We're doing good. You can see some old equipment. This looks like some donated stuff that has yet to be put out for display. But we're going to get to some cool stuff right now. Here's the beginning of their computer section. I own all of these, right? I'll point out the ones I do not own for fairness. Right down there is a Trash 80. Looks like a Model 3. 48K edition, right? Ma, that's in your basement, right? That's still in your basement, but
Yeah.
But I got it, right?
Yeah.
Commodore 64 with the drive and everything. I got that and all the accessories. Osborne Model 1, that's at your house, right? I do not own the portable Commodore 64. That I do not have. Apple II, I got that. That's sitting on my desk at home. And no, I do not own the IBM PC, but that's pretty cool as well.
Then of course the 3M floppy disks.
Yeah, double
of which
density.
I had multiple hundreds of boxes.
Double density floppy disk. So
Double-sided.
so I own about 80% of the computers that are on display out here. We're gonna move on and look at some more of them. Other computers behind glass that I have, there's a Tandy Coco. I got one of them, again, in your basement. A lot of these I didn't bring back to Florida. There's another Coco, a couple of Macintoshes, and there's what is that, a Spectrum? That looks like a Spectrum in the back corner there. Though it's hard to tell, I don't want to walk over this equipment to see. And there's a Macintosh, early Macintosh, right there.
This has a grammar checker.
A grammar checker. Oh yeah, that's a word processor. It's not a computer. That's
okay.
a word processor. They also have a collection of associated manuals for these. I have manuals too. I have the old 1970s leather-bound manuals, the big binders that it came with. These are the more contemporary colored books. Mine came with the schematics, how to actually fix the circuit boards and whatnot. This is more of a consumer user's grade type of manual. Stuff that was way too rich for my blood back in the day includes this Collins transmitter and receiver, and I believe, what is this, like a power supply? Not sure. Transmitter, receiver, and something going on here. Collins setup. We have to take a quick shot of this Nixie tube for no other reason than there's a Nixie tube here, and we're taking a quick shot of it. They got a shelf of stuff back here they haven't even set up yet, and you know, to the untrained eye, some of this is just radio equipment. But you can see right here, like this Heathkit station, right here, you know, is worth a. How many times am I going to say you know in one video? You know, let me get them out of the way. You know. This Heathkit station right here is worth a pretty penny. These are well known. Old holocrafters right here. I see some old night equipment. So Yeah, I realize you can't put all the stuff out at the same time. Mom's sitting there investigating what's hiding behind these other boxes. You do what you can.
But what we
Can
do
you put coins in?
on these shelves and all around here, you
Go ahead.
look out for all the stuff on the floor.
I don't know if it's operational. Here's a dime. See if it still works. I don't know if it would work.
Come on, Mom.
And then over here,
You break it?
I think it won't come out.
Okay, watch out. It just went to the bottom.
Oh, okay.
We're good. And what do you pull these from, like, units that you get and then test them and then, like, store them for when you need them for a project or something?
What's that?
Like all these tubes.
Well, we have lots of donations that come in.
Yeah.
And right now, what we've done is we've picked out a whole bunch of these tubes.
Yes.
They all have to be clean, but the reason why we picked it out is we sell chess sets. And the various pieces of the chess set are vacuum tubes with wooden bases that they're glued to.
Outstanding.
And so if you look along the side of the building, there's a crew of people building 4 chess sets today.
No.
We have one that had already ordered one, and they're expensive.
I was going to ask you, how much are they?
Well, they're hundreds of dollars, but they're quite unique. And of course, we have some of the largest tubes are the kings and the bishops and all that other kind of chess stuff.
That's fantastic.
I hope you enjoyed our tour of the Vintage Radio Museum here in Windsor, Connecticut. Thanks for watching. Say thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.